Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Artist Stories of Middle Georgia. I'm your host, Victor Rigoli, and I have a special guest with me today, Beth Smith. Beth, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Victor. It's good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. We kind of connected a little bit through social media, and then I got the pleasure of meeting you in person at the Macon Arts Alliance 40th anniversary celebration, and just had a wonderful conversation with you. And I just really enjoyed that. So I wanted to get you on the show and talk a little bit about who you are, about your art. And I know you got some stories to tell from your diverse background and everything. So I know that you have your own business, and that's the Cornerstone Academy of Art. Is that correct?
Yes, Cornerstone Academy of Art and Design.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and you have a place in Macon and in Perry. Is that correct? Or
well, it's currently at my home studio, but I'm getting ready to move to a larger location, but still here in Kathleen.
Oh, okay, good. And you were once associated with 567. Is that correct?
I was their fine art director and gallery curator for 3.5 years.
Wow.
It was my very first creative job after I moved here to Georgia from Florida. So
okay.
It was a great experience.
Awesome. And you're kind of a celebrity TV star. Wasn't it the Discovery Channel? Is that who it was with? Yes. And they recently came into your home and did a follow-up interview with you. Tell us all about that.
Oh, well,
I'm excited to see this.
That was this last Friday. They came in. They were they're a production company out of London, and their film crew came in, and they're doing a little bit of a different type approach to the Eileen Wuornos story. Whereas the first time I was involved with the project, it was more on the actual case itself and the victims of the crimes and the details around her arrest, her apprehension and arrest. This approach this time, which I think is very unique and it's not really been done before that I've seen, is they are really delving into the psychological aspect of not only what creates the criminal mind and what kind of the profiling of a serial killer, but what brings this about for a woman, because really from the psychology and the psychoanalyst perspective, it's not in women's nature to be quote unquote serial killers, people who murder on a continual basis. We're born nurturers. We're not. Right. It's not in us to continually take life. So what builds up to that? What creates that in a person, a woman, to drive her to those kind of extremes? It's very, very unique and interesting. And so we really delve into that aspect of it. And I have been currently working on a women's series, and I'm actually doing one whole art piece dedicated to Eileen Wuornos, because I was involved in her case and had such a connection there, that she is basically a victim of a lot of terrible things that happened to her at a very young age, which led up to kind of putting her in that scenario as an adult to do just some horrible, horrendous things.
Right.
So she's going to be featured in her own painting, where I feature her. And I don't want to give too much away because
yeah, just some teasers here.
Yeah, little teasers. The concept's there, and I've got the preliminary drawing done. They will be kind of showing that in the feature that will be released, by the way, next year.
Next year? Okay, I was going to ask you that. When is it coming out? So
summertime, late summer next year is what they told me.
Okay.
So, but yeah,
wow.
and I will. I hope to have my solo show featuring that whole women's series next year also.
Okay. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about that. Tell us about this solo show.
So I've started months ago, starting paintings that depict struggles that women still face in 2025. We've come a long way. We've made leaps and bounds
Right.
from generations before us, but we still are fighting an incoming current.
Right.
We
Right.
still try to make our place in the workplace. We still, just in the creative world alone, women artists are becoming more recognized, but we've gone decades and decades, well, centuries. You can even go back
Oh
to
yeah,
the
most
early
definitely.
Renaissance
Yeah.
period. I mean, women weren't even allowed to be in art school or attend ateliers or
Right.
really be involved in the creative side at all. We were primarily used for studio modeling and to be an artist muse, and that's pretty much it. But we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. So I'm capturing these challenges that we still face in a visual manner.
Okay.
I'm touching on a lot of social commentary that we still face, like domestic violence. I have one that's focused on sex trafficking that we still face. There's women out there who are being traded daily right now as we speak.
Oh yeah.
There are women being sexually abused.
That's so true.
They're being traded for it's awful.
Yes.
And it's uncomfortable for people to have conversations about, but I'm known to be an artist who puts uncomfortable things out there. Surrealism has always been my genre that lights my fire. My all-time favorite artist that I admire is Salvador Dali. I love the whole surrealism movement. I've always been interested in it because it is out of the ordinary. It's full of symbolism. You can communicate so much using that style. The painting over my shoulder that you see with the flag is one of my surreal pieces. It's called Constitution's Last Stand. I did that quite a few years ago. It's my bestseller. It's been a huge hit. It says a lot.
Right.
Because art is so subjective, I can put surrealism pieces out there and they speak to everybody differently.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Right.
How it's speaking to you, because everybody has a different opinion and thought and all that. So that's what I love about art.
But I was going to say the same thing. That's the beauty of art. I mean, it's like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Art is in the eye of the beholder, and it speaks to people differently. Because you can be in a gallery, and you probably have noticed this. Two people are looking at a painting and says, I don't get it. And says, oh my gosh, you don't get this?
Yes.
Yeah, it spoke to the one, it didn't speak to the other. So yeah, I love that.
It's one of the few things out there that communicates internationally.
Yeah.
It is a common denominator. For example, I used to do the art festival circuit. I used to go out throughout the Southeast and do these outdoor art festivals.
Right.
And I would have people, and I have had a lot of pieces in the past that were political, that were spiritual, that spoke to social commentary, and about a various wider range of issues. And especially with my political pieces, I mean, you could have it. These artworks doesn't know political party.
Right.
They speak to everybody individually. Right. So I could have a tent full of people. I don't know what their backgrounds were. I have. I don't know what their political affiliations or anything else is, but everyone can come together and have a common conversation without it becoming an argument and that's what I've often found fascinating about conversations around art. You can get two different people with two different completely views that can get together on common ground and speak about a piece of art without it becoming a knockdown, drag out argument about something.
Right.
And that's what I love about the beauty of art. And that's why I am but without getting too political, I am a very, very strong advocate for never censoring the arts. I think it's very important that artists are free to express themselves,
Right.
and free to speak with their art and to communicate through their art. And anyone who tries to, muzzle that or get in the way of that or try to censor art in any manner, I am just totally against that.
Right. Right. Yeah. I appreciate that so much. So where's your show going to be?
So, well, right now it's tentatively set for Sheridan Studios, which will
Okay,
be
great.
there on Poplar Street.
Right.
And we've got Cornerstone's got big news. So it may be at
Oh.
Sheridan Studios. It may be at Cornerstone's new location because we're getting ready to move.
So where are you going to move to?
We are going to be moving into a building on 3rd Street, which is just off of Oglethorpe, the Oglethorpe and 3rd Street intersection.
Okay.
We're super excited about that. It's we won't be moving till the fall.
Okay.
The official move date will be kind of like around the end of September, but it'll be a big place where we'll be able to have exhibits and shows, and there'll be all different kind of art related things happening in this space. I'm super excited about it.
I'm excited about that too. If you need some help moving things, let me know. I'm retired. I got some free time, so I'm, free labor.
Well, we'll probably definitely take you up on that.
Yeah. Just reach out to me, email me, whatever.
And I'm a good cook and baker, so I'll have lunch.
Hey, I'm there. I'm there. I'm sold. Yeah. Free food, I'll show up. But I'm excited about that because there is downtown Macon is just starting to blossom with a lot of art.
Yes, absolutely.
And I was talking to Eric Odell last week about that. And he said, there's a lot going on in Macon and Middle Georgia area. And, with Sheridan Studios opening up, earlier this year, which was great. And then you've got some others. It's just, I'm excited for what's happening in downtown Macon.
Yes.
As far as the arts are concerned,
yes,
so that's
absolutely
wonderful. Yeah.
It's blooming. And
it is.
I thought is, we were looking at this when I was, contemplating this property, touring around the area where it's going to be. It's all pushing that way. And a lot of businesses are coming in and developing some of the old structures, old structures and, breathing some life into that whole downtown area. It's super exciting.
Yeah. I grew up in Macon. We came south, gosh, I was like in the 4th grade, so, Macon area is my hometown. I live in Warner Robins, but grew up in Macon. And as I was talking with Eric, there were times where you just didn't go downtown, nobody wanted to go downtown. You didn't feel safe going downtown. And now I think whoever came up with the idea of having First Friday was a genius, and that does so much to bring people, because we'll come up, people come up from Warner Robins, Perry, other places, and come up to Macon. And I like to go see the art stuff. And I always promise my wife, I said, come along with me, because I promise her I'll take her out to dinner, so that's why I'm here to tag along. But yeah, but it's a lot of fun, it's a lot of fun. And I'm excited about new studios opening up and everything, and the opportunity, because artists need that, because you need more venues to show your art, more galleries and things like that to get some recognition, so yeah, that's awesome. I'm happy for you.
Thank you. And if I could just speak to the Houston County viewers that are watching this, I have heard many times here, and I don't mean to single Houston County out, but folks who are hesitant about coming, the crime, we're worried about going there at night, et cetera, have been coming downtown. Well, we've lived here 14 years now. And since I worked at the 567, we were down on Cherry Street. You can't get no more downtown than that. Right. I was there 3.5 years, closed the gallery down at night, 3.5 years worth.
Right.
To my car at night, I've never had a problem.
Yeah.
Downtown is safe.
Yeah, it
Um,
is. Yeah,
of
it
course,
is.
it's
There's
like
going to be things that happen.
there will be things
Doesn't
that
matter where you're at.
happen
Yeah.
where you just
Yeah.
go, use common sense,
That's
pay
right.
attention to your surroundings, but come
Exactly.
and experience downtown. Uh, Great restaurants,
Oh, yeah.
great vibe. So don't not come to downtown
Right.
because you're fearful. Come and experience it. It'll be wonderful, and you'll not regret it. So that's my little
Yeah.
blurb. Shout out
Good little plug there.
for
Getting that
downtown
out to
Macon
Houston
to my
County
Houston
people.
County
Come on
friends.
down.
Yes.
Well, you've been in what, Kathleen? You're in the Kathleen area. Is
Yes.
that correct? Okay.
Yes.
So how long have you been in that particular area? Because what I want to ask is, what do you know about the art scene going on in Perry, in the Perry area? Or do
Well,
you know anything about that?
Well, we've been here 14 years
Okay.
in this area, and I was originally a member of the Fine Arts Society in Middle Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
and I was with that group for a good bit. And as I grew, and I kind of grew outside that little group, and
Mm-hmm.
mainly because I had a vision. I had a vision
Right.
of having my own school.
Right.
And I'm a very goal-oriented, focused person. So, as I progressed along in my own career, I had to make some decisions and make some changes, and be a little bit more diligent with my time. So, and as far as currently, I'm not really sure. I know there's a Perry Arts group that has organized down in Perry. But I'm not really. I don't have my finger on the pulse as much on what's going on down here. I recently was out in Perry for their plein air event, though.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get to really talk to no folks because my crazy self has to get up at 5 a.m. every morning. So I was out there painting it at like 7 o'clock in the morning. So
wow.
There was nobody set up.
You're the first one there and gone before everybody got there, probably.
And the first one breaking down, because I was packing up at 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Oh,
I was
wow.
out there.
Wow.
So,
well, how was that? Was it well attended as far as artists are concerned?
I think I heard there was 20 some people. So it was a good
Oh, really?
turnout. I was not able
That's
to do
good.
the show afterwards
Yeah.
at a show in the Perry little civic center that they have there. I wasn't able to attend that
Mhm.
because it conflicted with another event that I was doing in
Right.
Macon. But yeah, I heard it went well and was well attended. So
That's
they're
good.
they're trying to get some traction down here.
That's good. That's good. Because as artists, we're always looking for other activities and events that are going on, in this particular area. So I'm glad that was a success. What really inspires you? You talked about, women and that kind of thing and the struggles they go through. Are there certain artists that you kind of really admire and just draw some inspiration from those artists?
Oh yeah, there's quite a few artists that I follow. They some of them are traditional, like Vladimir Volkov. He's a Russian painter, and his work is very indicative of Sargent, and so I love his work. He's very methodical with his brush strokes, but yet he's got
Mhm.
kind of that looser style, but really understands color and just does amazing work. Then there's artists like Casey Bowe, he's a amazing artist out of New York City.
Mhm.
And he does a lot of cityscapes, and it's a certain amount of detail, but yet very loose. It has
Mhm.
a contemporary feel to it. There's David Kassan, who is he's an amazing portrait artist and figurative artist. So there's a lot of artists out there that they're very good. They're all across the country. There's some international artists. There's a couple of artists over in Asia that I really admire. So basically, it's all things art. I just love it. I resonate with them. Just something about their art, their style that really captures my attention.
Right.
So I like to see really good technique used. I love the really unique use of color that people use. And I'm a teacher. So I use all of these different artists that I follow as examples to my students of, you know, how a particular style can be, you know, very impactful even for other professionals. So
Right.
yeah, I'm always using examples from artists from all over for my students.
That's great. That's great. So what would you consider your style of painting?
Well, of course, surrealism
Okay.
is, you know, rocks my world. It's really what I love to do. But my, as far as technique style,
Mhm.
my default style is realism.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's more illustrative. Um, I like to smooth out my brush strokes. I'm getting a little there's a little transitioning going on
Okay.
in my style, which is very typical of artists. We kind of, you know, refine our style over time.
Right.
And you saw these in a lot of older art. If you look at Georgia O'Keeffe, she's a good example of her early work. And then you could see her style evolved, her subject matter evolving, and everything as she grew older. So, and I've seen the same thing with me as I've grown older. My style has just transitioned, and it kind of ebbs and flows. But I'm like crazy across the map with my style. I'll paint a realism piece, a surrealism piece that's done in a realistic style, like behind me, and then I'll
Right.
shift gears and do an abstract, and
Okay.
or I'll do a pen and ink, or I'll do a
Okay.
watercolor, or I'll do. I mean, I'm all over the map, and
Okay.
I think as an instructor,
You kind of have to be,
kind of
I
have
guess, you know.
the
Yeah.
art world don't like that though. Not at all. Not at all. Which I, you know, that's kind of one of the things in the art world I don't agree with. That I'm seriously though, they'll penalize you for that as an
Yeah.
artist. If they don't see a solid body of work, you know, if they see you all over the map, they're not
Well,
going to
you
give you a
know, there's rules, but then you're told to break the rules. I mean, you know, come on, you know, as artists,
exactly.
you have to do that sometimes. So what's your medium of choice?
Oh,
You
oil,
oil? Oh,
hands down.
I
Love,
love oils too. Yeah.
love oil. I love it. I've since the time I was a child, when I first opened a tube of paint and went, what's
Ooh,
that
I
smell? I
love
like
that.
that.
Yeah. Do you do any acrylic painting at
I
all,
do
or do you
acrylic.
do some?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was
Yeah.
at the 567, I led quite a few of the corks and canvas classes
Uh-huh.
there, and so that's all acrylic. So,
Right. Right.
and I
Right.
in my early, you know, as I was practicing learning color and stuff, when you don't have a whole lot of money, you work in acrylic because it's cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, you know, I just never, I can work in acrylic, but
You
I love
prefer oil. Yeah.
it. Just you
Yeah.
cannot get a lot of the looks that you get in oil with
With
acrylic. You just can't.
acrylic.
It's
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I might need to talk to you and come visit you at your studio there, and maybe take some art lessons from you, because I'm an oil painter and I've been painting for over 5 years, and I love it. You know, it's my story was I did art in junior high school, you know, and now they call it middle school. And
Mhm.
I was pretty good at it. And I was talking to Eric about this. I said, you know, my art teacher said, "Hey, man, you're doing great. I'm going to get this Mercer University art student to come take you down to Mercer University and do some art and that kind of thing." And I think it was kind of a program with Mercer in the junior high school, you know. So I did that a few times and, you know, created some art. And then I get into high school and then I get distracted by cars and girls and all that kind of stuff. But
Mhm.
40 years go by, you know, life and various activities and work and all that kind of thing. In January of 20, we're in Hobby Lobby, and I don't know, I gravitate to the art department, you know, where the canvases and paint and all that's at. My wife said, "Hey,
Mhm.
I've got this gift card. Why don't you buy you a little easel and some canvas and paint and do some painting?" I, I never said anything about doing that, but she was just inspired. And so here I am 5 years later. And so I started off just using oils. I just love how one of the things I love about oils, if I don't like what I see on the canvas, I'll just wipe it off and start over. Can't do
Exactly.
that with acrylic, you know?
Nope.
It's
Ain't over
pretty
it.
much,
You gotta
you
paint
know,
over
in
it.
15 minutes, it might be dry,
Yeah, less than
but
that sometimes.
exactly, exactly. But I just fell in love with oils and I've been using it. And I have started doing some little acrylic pouring recently, experimenting with that. And the
Mhm.
weird thing about it is I've used a hair dryer to blow it around. And don't laugh, but I've also used my big leaf blower to kind of blow it around too. So as artists, we just have to think and come up with, oh my gosh, let me try
Outside the
this. And
box.
it worked. I mean, it was
Outside the box.
great.
Yep.
I couldn't believe it. And that was a lot of fun. I mean, it was quick and you mix different colors and how things started blending together. I mean, and then I just posted and said, hey, I'm giving these away. And whoever wants them, and so I gave them all away. But that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I do want to come and see your place and
Okay.
talk a
All
little
right.
bit more, because that's one of the things that I like to do. And I did this with Eric Odell. Is I interviewed him, and then the following week I went down to his studio. And I don't know if you know Eric. Do you know
Yeah.
Eric Odell?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was
Have
one
you
of the
been?
first artist friends I made when I moved here.
Oh, great. Have you been to his studio there on Cherry Street?
I've not been to his new one. I
Yeah.
went to his studio quite a bit when he was at the Contemporary Arts Exchange on Mulberry Street.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
Right
it
above
was quite the
Michael's.
hub. Yes,
Right.
that was the
You,
artist hangout. Oh, the
oh, I
days.
love his studio. Go check it out on YouTube at Artist Stories of Middle Georgia. I did a little video, a tour of his studio, and it's my dream studio. I just fell in love with it. I thought I'd love to just come down here and hang out a couple of days a week. It's just a wonderful space. I mean, it's just got so much space.
Isn't he above the bird, the hummingbird?
The hummingbird, he sure is. There
Yeah.
on the very top. Yeah. So, but it was so cool. Yeah, it was so cool. I recommend, he'll probably let you come down. He likes visitors, he said.
Oh,
So
I'm sure
yeah,
he will. He'd probably love for
yeah,
me. I need to do
yeah,
that.
yeah. So that's great.
But yeah,
So
you're welcome to come. And I've been working in oils for over 30 years.
oh
So
wow.
let's see, I would say probably close to 36 years to be exact. So
Okay.
and I just love it. And like I said, the more I do and the more I paint, my style just continues to evolve. And every time, well, what I love about painting, I would tell you, and I tell my students this all the time. When I was a child, and this is a lot of the reason I went into teaching and why I was so passionate about having my own school. When I was a kid coming up, I was teased a lot in school. I had older siblings that were already out of the house by the time I was school age. So it's basically me and my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I had older parents because I was adopted when when I was just a baby.
Okay.
And so over time, I lived on a farm way out in a rural Michigan community. So I didn't have an outlet. I didn't have friends that I hung out with after school, and I didn't have that. So I learned at a young age how to use my art to self cope,
Mm-hmm.
how to it was my little escape. It was the
Mm-hmm.
way that
Mm-hmm.
I handled days I'd come home crying from school.
Right.
It was something that brought me joy. And even now, fast forward to an adult, when I get into my work and get into my painting, nothing else. I don't think about anything. It all
Right.
melts away for that
Right.
3 hours, because that's my average painting session is 3 hours. I am it's just me and that painting.
Right.
And uh it's almost like an euphoric
Mm-hmm.
uh experience for me mentally. And I don't know what happens chemically in the brain, but something happens because I know how it leaves me. And so my focus when I work with my young students is exactly what I learned to do for myself when I was young, because these kids nowadays, they struggle with a lot. There's a lot of
They
social
do. They
out there
do.
that just presses
Right.
down on them like a
Oh
heavy
yeah.
weight.
Yeah.
And if they don't have good support systems at home, or even if they do, they still struggle as a creative, because uh, if you have an artistic child, they're not into sports. They're not into
right.
the, the other things that the kids are. And a lot of times they get teased for that. Well, what's
That's
wrong
right.
with you? You don't like this,
Yeah.
you don't like that. What's wrong with you? Well,
Right.
there's nothing wrong with them.
No,
And we teach
no.
them right out the gate that you are a really special, unique individual. And so we focus on mental health a lot at Cornerstone. We want to make sure that the kids not only recognize that they have a unique talent, but they learn how to use that as a coping mechanism, as an artistic voice, as a confidence booster. So that's a big focus at Cornerstone. We want them to feel special. We don't want them to become adults that feel shamed or afraid to express themselves, but to realize that they're special and they have a unique gift and a lot to offer society as they continue to grow as artists.
I love that. I mean, art is very therapeutic,
Absolutely.
I've, watching different artists and all this kind of stuff. And I watched this guy, I can't even remember his name, but he struggled with anxiety and depression. But then when he started painting and doing oil painting, it really helped him cope with some of that. It's like you said, when I get in up, and I'm up here in my little studio above the garage, when I come up here, when I start painting, you're right. You kind of zone out things, and you zone into what you're doing, and time sometimes just flies by for me. And the next thing you know, it's like, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. I thought it was like 11 o'clock, I mean, it just goes by so fast. And because you're so involved in what you're doing, and you're right, you forget about things that are going on for at least for a little while, and it's a wonderful thing. And I know you probably do this with your students, is you took that blank white canvas and look what you created from
Right.
that.
Mm-hmm.
You took nothing and created something.
Yes.
And I love that. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad
So
you're able to do stuff like that, and working with, what's the youngest age that you work with?
we started age 8.
8? Okay.
Eight
Okay. Okay.
years old, and then we work all the way up. We have adult students. We have some retirees. We have professionals that come after work. My oldest student currently is 81 years old,
I was
and
about to say 8 to 98. Is that probably
81. I had a 91-year-old student that I went. Her family had me come to her. She was at Carlisle Place, and her name
Okay.
was Mildred Tate. She was a wonderful student, and let me just tell you really quickly about the story about Mildred. I have to.
Yeah,
She's
please.
such a great person. So I started with her. She was a watercolorist.
Oh.
Talk about therapy and with art. She was a watercolorist. She had the onset of Parkinson's and she had a shake. But when I first started with her, she didn't want nothing to do with me. She's like, "Why are you here?" And she really didn't want. She just wanted to lay in bed, and she was very depressed. And so I was still, getting comfortable with watercolor. It was, it's not something that I is super familiar with.
Right.
I love it now, but at that period of time, I wasn't working as much in it. I was working on a watercolor. I was getting frustrated, and I finally said, I'm done with this for today. Maybe we'll cut our lesson short, Mildred, and I'll come back another day. And she reached out her hand and went like this, "Give me the brush." I handed her the brush. And when she started working with the watercolor on the paper, her hand stopped shaking.
Really? Oh my gosh.
All she
You get chills thinking about that. That is so cool.
Try. And once she saw that her hand stopped shaking when she started to paint, it was all over.
That's wonderful.
That
is so cool.
She opened up to me. Then she wanted to learn how to work with oils. She had never experienced oils before. So I started teaching her in oils. I had a solo show later that year. I got with the director of Carlisle Place, got the van, loaded her up, took her to my opening. She'd never been to an art show before, so she was able to be at the art opening with me. And then I talked her into entering one of her oil paintings that I was very, very proud of into an art show. She'd never experienced an art show, never entered any of her work ever in an art show. Remember, she's 91.
Right, right.
She entered an art show, took honorable mention.
Really?
She was
Wow.
over the moon,
I
over
bet
the
she
moon.
was.
And
I
she
mean,
made
that just made her day, you
it
know?
made her day. She made such emotional leaps and bounds. Her family was so
Yeah,
happy, and she was able to leave this world having so many firsts and
right,
having that peace and joy that the art brought to her
right,
to the very end. And
right.
that story right there is exactly why I do what I do.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I said, you're really blessed to be able to do that with people and helping people like her. I mean, that's a story you ought to share with a lot of people and how it changed her life. I mean, there's no telling what it did for her mentally, emotionally, and
Exactly.
everything, and physically.
Yes.
Like you said, she took that brush and she wasn't shaking. And that's just a miracle in itself, I think. It's like, oh my gosh, because you would think, especially like with watercolor, I haven't done any watercolor, but I know it's probably difficult for somebody that does have Parkinson's, and you're just really outside the line and kind of thing. And but that's amazing. I love that story. Thanks so much for sharing that.
You're
That's
welcome.
awesome. Yeah, yeah. So anywhere from 8 years old up to 98 or 101 or whatever the case may be.
Exactly.
So that's
If they
great.
have a desire to learn, come
Oh
on.
yeah, yeah. So what days are you open and available? And, because one of the things I want you to do, and I emailed you about this, I want you to send me your contact information because I want to
Okay.
put it in the show notes for
Okay.
YouTube and also for Facebook. So if
Okay.
somebody wants to reach out to you to find out, about classes and that kind of thing, just to email you or whatever, send that to me and I'll include it down in the little show notes, so
Okay.
people can reach out to you on social media or whatever, platform you have. So
I
that would
was
be
sure to do
great. So yeah.
that.
So
Now,
what days a week are you available? And
well, we teach down here in Houston County Mondays and Tuesdays currently.
okay,
Now we're looking as we move into our larger location down here, we're looking to expand those days as well
okay,
as I get more instructors in place. But currently it's Monday, Tuesday down here in Houston County. And then we are Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in Macon at our Macon location, which is
okay,
there at 1305 Hardeman. We're right next to the brick. Until the end of September, and then and from
right.
October on, we'll be in the new location.
Moving down
Yes,
downtown. Yeah.
and then as far as the times go, that's
Hmm.
another unique thing that we offer at Cornerstone is we don't have set hours because we know that everybody um, has complicated schedules, especially if
Right.
they have multiple kids in the household. They have various things that they've got to get this kid to, this kid. So we have totally adjustable hours. So basically, as each student comes to request lessons, we go over what schedule works for them, and their class time is created based around their convenience.
Okay. Okay. So when you teach and you have different students come in, are they all learning the same thing, or are they all coming in for different things? Like
They're
somebody
all
may come
coming.
in and, hey, I want to do oil, I'm going to do acrylic, I'm going to do watercolor or whatever. So
They're all coming in different things.
okay.
So
Okay.
that's the challenges for us as instructors it's almost like you become a juggler. You're juggling a lot of different
I can imagine. I
all at
can
different
imagine. Yeah. Uh,
time.
yeah.
But yeah, because we know that not everybody fits into the same mold. That's another thing that
Right.
without going down the educational rabbit hole,
Uh,
um,
right.
I recognize my own personal self that not everybody learns the same at the same
That's
pace
right.
in the
That's right.
same way. So another thing we pride ourselves with at Cornerstone is we take everybody where they're at. We work
Hmm.
from there. So that's why we keep our class sizes very, very small. We do not do group classes. We
Hmm.
have 4 at the most at one time because
Okay.
everyone's doing different things at different times. So,
Yeah.
like for example, yesterday I had 2 painters, and two students doing illustrations. So we had the illustrators at one table, and then we had the painters at their easels. That's it. That's all we have. Why? Because if you get too many, it's too much to juggle, and the quality of the instruction goes down. So we want to make sure that we're able to keep that manageable to where we can give each student exactly what they need at where they're at while they're here for their lesson time. We want them to make sure that they get the utmost quality of instruction. That's what they're paying for. That's why we're in this, is
Right.
to make sure that we're developing these students to become the best artists that they can be.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. I love that you keep things small, a small group, no more than 4, because you're right. As a teacher or art instructor, I can imagine it can be difficult to, I mean, if you've got 7 or 8 people in there, you're just bouncing around, and it's kind of impossible, in my opinion, to be able to focus enough attention over here, because you're thinking, oh, okay, well, I got to run back over here. It's like the old Ed Sullivan show, and the guy was spinning plates, and the way back in the day,
Yep.
and you're trying to keep all those plates going. You're trying to give everybody enough attention, but if you've got too many, you spread yourself too thin, and you can't be very effective. So I like it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that you keep it a small group, because that sends a message to your students too, that she's going to devote, or the teacher's going to devote more time to me while I'm here, instead of going around to 7 other people, and I've only got 10 minutes of their undivided attention, while I was here for an hour and a half or whatever it was. So, but
Well,
yeah,
because
I like that.
when you're charging a premium price for a lesson, you want to make sure that the parent feels like, that they're, what we all want to know, that the quality, the services that we're getting is what we're paying for. And
Right.
so I have tailored Cornerstone with the same things that I expectations that I have as a consumer. So to make sure that everyone that comes and studies here at CAD feels that they're getting, their money's worth and then some. We
Right.
want. I had a mother here yesterday that her daughter's fairly new here, but she's very, very happy. She's like, I'm so glad we found you. She's
Oh, wonderful.
just in the short time her daughter's been coming, she already sees a tremendous improvement in her daughter's drawings. So
That's great.
she's very, very happy with the results that she sees. So
That's great. That's great.
yeah, we're very proud of what we do, and I will continue to bring in more instructors to accommodate those small sizes. And that's another thing that I'm happy about, that not only can I offer the art classes to the community, but now I'm helping to employ artists who are looking that have the same passion that I do and need to make more money besides just what they're generating off their individual art pieces, because we understand that the art market is hard. And
it is.
It's almost impossible to live solely off art
That is so
sales.
true. That is so true. There's
I
there's a
plan to offer
few that, yeah, there's a few that are able to do that, but the majority, you got to have different revenue streams, is what I call it. Maybe I'm doing prints and selling originals. I'm teaching class. I'm doing online tutorials, or whatever the case may be. But you got to have all these different revenue streams, to help support you. As an artist, what do you find the most challenging as an artist in your art?
marketing wise or technique
It could be
wise.
anything. It could be that. It could be, maybe it's procrastination. I don't know. I mean, it could be anything. What kind of, maybe the question is what challenge you,
My biggest challenge right now is getting my own work done. My management, continuing my own studies, because and I tell my students this: you never arrive as an artist, ever, 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 ever. You will continue to learn and evolve until you take your last breath.
That's right.
And
we should always be doing that, regardless of whether we're artists or not.
Yes,
Excuse me.
yes.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I was just got onto practicing my hands. These things can be very challenging to draw. And so when you don't keep up a practice, you get rusty, so to speak. And so I found myself getting rusty. And one of my co-instructors says, "Hey, why don't you just get in on our hand studies? Beth, why don't you, you might want to practice a little bit more."
Yeah. Yeah.
We criticize and love.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I agreed with them. I said, "Yeah, you're absolutely right. My hands are totally do not look very well at the moment." So I had to my answer is getting the time in to practice my own techniques, to keep up my practices on various aspects of specific techniques. And like, I've got more paintings that I've got to get done for my solo show. So that's the biggest challenge for me right now is just getting my studio time in, because as a business owner and someone that's actively pushing a school forward, it's a challenge. I've got meetings all the rest of the week. I'm working on getting us accredited. That is one of my big goals, is to grow Cornerstone to a place where we can have a partnership with a local college and get our accreditation. So kids
awesome.
can start getting
good luck with that. Yeah,
college credits. Awesome. It is on my goal list. I'm actively pursuing it.
Yeah. That's good. You're talking about it. I thought of something a while ago, talking about learning and constantly learning. I heard this a long time ago. It's best to be green and growing than rotting, because if you don't use a skill, you lose it. And green and growing is that, it's almost like that fruit or vegetable. It's green, it's growing and all that kind of stuff. But then if you neglect it or if you pick it, what happens? The fruit starts to rot. So you always got to be green and growing and being a sponge and learning and trying new things and exploring new things. And I love that. And sometimes it's hard to and I agree with you. And it's challenging for you, I'm sure, to keep those skills sharp, because you get so many things going on and it's like, oh yeah, I need to work on my sketches a little bit, or whatever, or my composition or whatever. So yeah, I can relate to that. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
That is the biggest challenge.
Yeah. Well, gosh, we've been going on for about 45 minutes here and the time has just kind of flown by and I've just learned so much. Is there anything else that you'd like to kind of share with our viewing and listening audience as to, about Beth Smith, about your business, about your art, or anything? The time is yours to share.
I would just like to say that, I'm passionate of what I do. I love all the students that I have. I'm very excited about Cornerstone Academy and what we're bringing to the Middle Georgia community. My goals, and I know they're very achievable, and they will happen. It's just a matter of time. I want to be a smaller, more affordable option than some of the other area schools in our state.
Right.
And everyone will know what particular art school I'm talking about.
Right.
But it's very expensive, and I want artists to be able to come and study at Cornerstone and not be burdened with so much debt as they're trying to get employment in the creative field. I've had various jobs in the creative field. I worked at the sheriff's office. I was a criminal composite artist for a good number of years. I've been a graphic artist. I've been an illustrator for an author illustrating children's storybooks. And it is very challenging. And to be perfectly honest and transparent, being an artist is probably one of the most challenging careers that you can have out there. But it's also the most rewarding. It takes a lot of effort and hard work. I'm very honest with my students when they enter Cornerstone that if they want to pursue their passions, they want to be an artist, they have to be the cream of the crop. That's why we start with kids when they're at a very young age to get their skills and their techniques up to speed, so that when they become at the high school level, they're not
ahead of the curve.
They're ahead of the curve. They're not
way ahead,
because with the digital age now and the internet, you have artists from all over the world who are competing for the same jobs. So we want to just offer that quality education. The mentorships that we offer our students, that we keep everything on a very personalized level. We want to make those connections as well as be educators. So that all of our students know that we're here for them in any capacity. And I would say that I just lost my thought. Don't you love that?
No problem. No problem. That happens to me several times a day. But anyway.
But anyway,
Yeah.
that's my little infomercial for CAD. So
Well, great.
I'm proud of what we're doing here. So
oh, I know you are. I can sense that and see that and hear that. So best of luck to you. And thanks again, Beth, for being on the podcast today. And thanks everybody for tuning in. Grateful that folks are able to watch and listen to the podcast. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We're trying to help it to grow and everything. Check out the earlier content. We've got more content coming, more interviews in the future. But thanks everybody, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much, Beth. Take care.
You're welcome. Thank you.